On February 15th, 2023, a horrific crime took place in Los Angeles. Two Jewish men were shot and wounded as they left synagogues in the Pico Robertson neighborhood. The attacker, Jaime Tran, specifically targeted these men because they were Jewish. He chose them because they were wearing yarmulkes. The shootings occurred on separate days. The first victim was targeted on February 15th and the second on February 16th. Both men were leaving synagogues when Tran approached them and opened fire. Thankfully, both men survived the attacks. Tran was quickly apprehended by police. He was charged with federal hate crimes and firearms offenses. Tran had a history of making anti-Semitic statements. This crime sent a message of fear and vulnerability through the Jewish community. Jaime Tran's attacks on the two Jewish men were not isolated incidents. They were the culmination of a long history of anti-Semitic behavior. Tran had a pattern of making hateful and threatening statements about Jewish people. He had expressed his hatred online and in person. Years before the shootings, Tran began harassing former classmates. He sent them threatening emails filled with anti-Semitic slurs. Tran even went so far as to threaten violence against Jewish people. Tran's hateful rhetoric escalated in the months leading up to the shootings. He began posting anti-Semitic messages on social media. Tragically, his hatred did not remain confined to the digital world. After a thorough investigation, Jaime Tran was arrested and charged with multiple hate crimes. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Prosecutors presented Tran's history of anti-Semitic statements, his online activity, and eyewitness accounts. Tran eventually pleaded guilty to 2 counts of hate crimes and 2 counts of firearm charges. By pleading guilty, he admitted to his crimes and accepted responsibility for his actions. On August 28, 2023, Jaime Tran was sentenced to 35 years in federal prison. The judge in the case called Tran's actions despicable and cowardly. He emphasized the impact that Tran's crimes had on the victims and the Jewish community. The 35-year sentence was a victory for justice. It sent a message that hate crimes have serious consequences. While this sentence cannot erase the pain inflicted on the victims, it does provide a measure of accountability. The shootings in Los Angeles had a profound impact on the Jewish community. They created a climate of fear and anxiety. Many Jewish people felt vulnerable and targeted. Synagogues and Jewish institutions increased security measures. The shootings also sparked a conversation about anti-Semitism in America. Jewish leaders and organizations spoke out against the rising tide of hate. They called for greater awareness of anti-Semitism and its dangers. In the aftermath of the shootings, there was an outpouring of support for the Jewish community. People of all faiths and backgrounds condemned the attacks. This support was a reminder that hate does not represent the majority. The tragic events in Los Angeles underscore the urgent need to combat anti-Semitism. This ancient hatred continues to plague our world. It manifests in many forms, from hateful rhetoric to physical violence. We must confront anti-Semitism head-on and challenge it wherever it arises. Education is a powerful tool in the fight against anti-Semitism. By teaching people about the history of anti-Semitism, we can help them recognize and reject its poisonous ideology. Law enforcement also plays a vital role. Hate crimes must be investigated thoroughly and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Strong legal action sends a clear message that anti-Semitism will not be tolerated. Social media companies must also take responsibility for combating hate speech on their platforms. The fight against anti-Semitism is a fight for all of us. It is a fight for the soul of our society. When one group is targeted because of their religion, race, or ethnicity, we are all diminished. We must stand united against hate and bigotry in all its forms. Each of us has a role to play. We can speak out against hate speech when we hear it. We can challenge stereotypes and prejudices. We can educate ourselves and others about the dangers of anti-Semitism. Let us honor the victims of hate crimes by working together to build a more just and compassionate world. Let us stand united against hate.